Hi, this is Jack Stanley, and I wanted to talk about Christopher Columbus. Now, we all hear and have learned about Christopher Columbus in the United States, of course. In the United States, we always hear about the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, the three ships, and the king and queen gave him the ships from Spain and did his searching. And of course, every school child remembers in 1492 Columbus sailed the blue and all that fun stuff. Well, who was Columbus exactly? And why is he so relevant? And where was he exactly? And was he the first here? Well, first off, Columbus was a sailor, a captain, and he got support from Spain, finally, to take his trip. Now, I have to straighten out a lot of misconceptions about this. A lot of this whole idea was not to prove that the world was round, because everybody knew that. The Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans all knew that the world was round. Most other cultures knew that the world was round. That's why they could understand eclipses and other things like that. So that whole bit of malarkey was invented by Washington Irving as he wrote his biography on Christopher Columbus, of which he didn't know a great deal, but it didn't matter because he made it up. So that's what Washington Irving was really good at. I mean, he wrote the official history of New York City before it was the United States. When the Dutch were there, he wrote the history. Well, it turns out that he made up a good deal of it because eventually, within the last 60 some odd years, the original documents were discovered in Holland from New Amsterdam, which had all the correct information, and we discovered that Irving just kind of made up lots of stuff. That was his thing. He loved to write stories. When he wrote histories, stories kind of crept in. And the same is true for our friend Christopher Columbus. Now, there's other things about Columbus. Who was he? We don't even know what he looked like. Do you realize there's like 30 different portraits of Christopher Columbus, and not one of them is the same? So we really don't know what he looks like. And so if there's a statue of Christopher Columbus, any statue works. Okay, so think of it that way. And of course, he was over here with his crew, and they collected samples. They took a lot of the natives with them under force. They found all kinds of various things. They caught all kinds of diseases. They left all kinds of diseases. Other things that happened as well is that Columbus, of course, came back to Europe, and of course they had to make maps of this whole thing, and the map maker was his Amerigo Vespucci, kind of decided to call the continent, name it after himself, and we're named after the map maker. And other things. Was Columbus the first here? No. And he wasn't where the United States is. You know, there's a problem here in the United States. We can't see beyond our nose sometimes. And many of the people in the United States have never been beyond the United States. And they kind of think that Columbus discovered the United States because America is the United States as far as many people are concerned. Well, I have to tell you, America is a very large continent. It's North America, Central America, and South America, and scores of countries exist within the continent. And so it's not just the United States that's America, it's just the United States of America in the northern part of the continent of America. And so Columbus discovered the continent and the islands around, which he referred to as the Indies, because in a way he was kind of hoping he would find a way to get to India, but that never happened. A few other things. We had a World's Fair in 1892, 1893 in Chicago, celebrating the 400th anniversary of Columbus discovering America. And of course, Columbus is all over the place. We hear about him here, there, and everywhere. But was he the first here? No. We know the Vikings were here before him, and we know that also there's a very good chance that the Chinese were here long before the Vikings. Important thing to remember. So there's an awful lot more to Christopher Columbus, and today the shine on his name is kind of faded a little bit because of the way we kind of look at everything in the world today. And the way he was looked at in the past was very different. I think he died, around 1506. And as I said, since there's no image of him, since we don't know exactly what he looked like, he is entombed. However, he has 2 grave sites. So we don't know which one is which. And so they can't really create an image of him. I guess it would be fascinating to find out, but I guess we're going to leave things as they are. I mentioned the image because in 1891, 1892, Harper's had a whole article just with images of Columbus, and everyone was different. Bearded, unbearded, mustached, whatever. And, well, what can I say? Columbus discovered what was America. We were named after a map maker. And, of course, a lot of our story comes to us from a teller of tall tales. Interesting stuff when you think about our discovery.